Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio said the federal government will implement a review of workers' salary upwards to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. Akpabio stated this when the Ekiti State Governor Abeokuta and members of parliament from the state visited him in his office at the National Assembly. The Senate President assured Nigerians that the federal government was aware of difficulties being faced as a result of fuel subsidy removal. According to him, fuel subsidy removal was part of tackling corruption by the present administration, as the fuel subsidy regime stinks to high heavens of corruption. Akpabio added that Nigerians as a country would not have survived the next few years if the fuel subsidy had not been removed, stressing that government will have capacity to pay salaries and wages if reviewed upwards. Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has again commended the courage of President Bola Tinubu for removing the subsidy of petroleum products, saying it was in the interest of the economy of the nation. He stated these while hosting a delegation of National Assembly lawmakers from Ekiti State, led by Governor Abeokuta. The Senate President said the policy may have some implications, but in the long run will serve the interest of the citizenry.
In less than 2 months in office so far, he has demonstrated capacity. He has shown that a politician has come to governance. And one of the most difficult things Nigeria had was the continuous fuel subsidy, which we knew all along that we're subsidizing for the consumption of oil. We knew that the quantity of fuel, PMS, this was said to be consumed by Nigerians were fake. They were not real, but nobody could take action. We knew that fuel subsidy was killing the economy. Together, we were sure that we saved to sell along with Mr. President.
The visit was to appreciate the Senate for appointing Opeyemi Bamidele as the Senate leader. The state delegation expressed resolve to work closely with the National Assembly for mutual benefits. In a related development, lecturers under the aegis of the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union on Wednesday announced that its members would only go to their respective campuses twice weekly till the government addresses the issues caused by the removal of subsidy, which according to the union has caused untold hardship to its members. The union, in a press statement issued by its national president, Dr. Sam Ulubeko, noted that its members could no longer survive on the current minimum wage. Hence, it has directed its members to only go to work twice weekly. On the way forward, Dr. Lubeko said the union called on the government to immediately seek lasting solutions to the present crisis in the colleges of education. And the Senate committee is to compile a list of federal roads across the country for federal government's intervention. This is sequel to a motion raised by the Deputy Vice President of the Senate, Barau Jubril, on behalf of the entire Senate. The lawmakers said the poor state of some roads was affecting economic growth and also responsible for loss of lives through accidents. The senators expressed concern that since the return of democracy in 1999, trillions of naira have been expended on road constructions and rehabilitations with little being achieved.
Outside, feel strongly that something needs to be done about the road infrastructure in Nigeria. The Senate has commended and hereby commends the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari for finding alternative means of funding road infrastructure.
In another development, the Senate has set up an ad hoc committee chaired by Senator Francis Fadaunsi to investigate the abuse of firearms by officials of the Nigeria Customs Service in Kaduna State and at border communities in the country. The committee would probe the incidents in Katsina, including the alleged killings of residents by customs officials during border drills in August 2021, the killing of 10 persons also by customs officials in February 2021 in the Jubia local government area of the state, and the attack on the Chief of Staff to the Katsina State Governor, Jabiru Tasseri, on July 13, 2023. The Senate's decision to investigate the attacks by customs officials followed the presentation of a matter of urgent public importance by Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua during Wednesday's plenary session. After the probe, the ad hoc committee will prefer solutions and report back to the Red Chambers in 6 weeks. And the Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, has again enjoined the State Command of the Nigerian Customs Service to abide by the standard rule of engagement in the discharge of their official duties and avoid any act capable of leading to loss of lives and property of innocent residents, especially at border communities in the state. The Speaker made the call at the plenary in response to a submission of a member representing Idiroko-Ipokia State Constituency, Honorable B.C. Oyedele, who lamented the unprofessional operations of some custom officials in his constituency. Correspondent Kola Oleosho covered the plenary. Details are in this package.
Speaking under personal explanation, member representing Idiroko-Ipokia State Constituency, Honorable B.C. Oyedele, spoke on the illegal raid on the business premises of some residents by the men of Nigeria's Customs Service in the guise of confiscation of petroleum motor spirit known as fuel purchased from the filling stations in the neighboring communities for domestic use. Honorable Oyedele lamented the directive of the federal government on the embargo placed on the sales of petroleum products within 20 kilometers to the border, which had led the residents of the border communities resulting to buy petrol in kegs for personal use, which was now subjected to raiding by the customs.
It is also important, Mr. Speaker, to know that these people are not to be tied smugglers just because they are getting petroleum products to be used for their businesses and also in their homes. As a matter of urgency, to checkmate the excesses of the Nigerian custom, particularly along Idiroko-Ipokia local government.
Speaker, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, in his response, called on the State Command of Nigeria Customs Service to abide by the standard of rule of engagement in the discharge of their official duties.
There's always of engagement for military and paramilitary forces. It's the rule that guide them in their operation. I want to appeal to them that even though they are not under our authority, but I want to appeal to them to behave maturely and consider the life and property of people. I want to call on all representatives of Ogun State and the National Assembly to please help us raise this matter on the floor of the National Assembly and do the needful for us in Abuja.
Also at the plenary, the Obas and Chiefs Amendment Law 2023 scheduled first reading following the reading of its long title by the clerk and the head of legislative service, Mr. Deji Adeyemo, before the state lawmakers.
The House of Representatives has confirmed the appointment of the service chiefs recently appointed by President Bola Tinubu. Their confirmation follows the adoption of the report of House Ad hoc Committee which screened them. The service chiefs confirmed are Major General Christopher Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Tarid Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff. The Green Chamber had on Monday commenced the screening of the service chiefs, days after the Red Chamber confirmed their appointment. Ogun State government says peace and stability being enjoyed in the state will not be compromised. The state governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, stated this at the security engagement with stakeholders in the state held at Obas Complex, Okimoso, Abeokuta. Ayodeji Olumi completes the report.
Gathered here are security officials, traditional rulers, transport union leaders, community leaders, religious leaders, and representatives of various ethnic groups in Ogun State. In his opening remarks, the state governor, Prince Dakwa Abiodun, represented by immediate past special advisor to Ogun State Governor on Security Matters, AIG Olushola Subaru, retired, said the purpose of the engagement is to build on existing peace and stability in the state.
We all know that the responsibility of government is to ensure the well-being of the citizen and for the development also. To ensure that there is a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. But with the pain that we are facing from these kidnappers, it seems that they have started the still waters. They are taking our water of peace to toilet. And the government view this as something that will be a hindrance to the progress that we are expecting in Ogun State. That is why it has become necessary for us to come together, put our heads together, and fashion out concrete strategies that we can deploy to combat these particular measures.
Speaking on the rampant cultism activities in some parts of the state, Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, Abiodun Alamutu, said he has gotten the support of the Acting Inspector General of Police to grant amnesty to repentant cultists in the state as a way to stem the tide.
Despite the fact that we are in a very peaceful state, we used to have our peculiar security issues. But for after consulting with the Acting Inspector General of Police, he has given me the go-ahead to grant amnesty to all cultists that have resolved to denounce cultism and equally down their arms, return their arms, because we discovered that some of these people, they found their way in this system by accident without really knowing the implication or magnitude of what they are delving into.
The participants thereafter went into closed-door meeting where ways on how to tackle insecurity were suggested. Ayodeji Olumi, OGTV News.
Still on security matters, the Ogun State Amotekun Corps has paraded an 80-year-old man identified simply as Pa Michael and one Oladosho, 60 years, for allegedly vandalizing the equipment of the Ekiti State Water Corporation at Okimesi, Ekiti, in Ekiti West local government area of the state. The Corps Commandant, Brigadier General Joe Komolafe, retired, while parading the suspects, said Michael and Oladosho were arrested by Amotekun operatives at Okimesi, Ekiti, while allegedly vandalizing several pieces of equipment belonging to the State Water Corporation. The Corps Commandant said the suspects will be handed over to the police for further investigation and prosecution. Still ahead on the news, Senator Oluremi Tinubu assures women of more appointments. These and many more after the break. Package for the day on OGTV. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, First Lady of Nigeria, has assured women of more appointments and opportunities under the administration of her husband. Tinubu made this known at the Merit Award ceremony for inductees into the Nigeria Women Hall of Fame in Abuja. Represented by Hajia Nana Shetima, wife of the Vice President, Tinubu reiterated her commitment to better the lots of Nigerian women across the nation. Dr. Sabih Velita Bashir, Director General, Miriam Babangida National Center for Women Development, said the award was in recognition of outstanding gender advocacies. She added that women with zeal, passion, and commitment in bridging gender gaps, dismantling barriers, and forging a path towards an equal future will be awarded. It is crucial for all stakeholders to work towards eradicating the menace of gender-based violence in the society. Wife of Ogun State Governor Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun stated this at the sensitization program organized for students in Abeokuta. Margaret Okunola completes the report.
Gender-based violence is any harmful act perpetrated against individual or group on the basis of gender identity or perceived gender. And contrary to the popular belief, it affects both male and female, being a state sensitive to the needs of its residents, with focus on all age range. Wife of Ogun State's Governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, in conjunction with the State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, organized a school sensitization program on the elimination of gender-based violence in schools. Mrs. Abiodun, who was represented by the wife of the Permanent Secretary in the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Dr. Olufunke Oyeneye, emphasized that sensitization like that are crucial in shaping young minds and nurturing a generation that champions equality, empathy, and understanding.
By treating one another with kindness and understanding, you become ambassadors of positive change. Embrace the knowledge shared with you today and carry it with you on your journey to becoming exemplary leaders of tomorrow.
There was an awareness session to enlighten the students on dental hygiene, and another session where students were taken through the nitty-gritty that makes up gender-based violence activities by gender officers, its effects on the victim and the society. The event featured question and answer session.
What is the difference between physical and domestic violence? The physical violence is like slapping, using sharp objects to hit somebody. Those are physical. The ones that their mass or the effects can be visible, while domestic violence occurs are the violence that occurs between partners, husband and wife.
Oral hygiene is so important to them because, you know, they're always snacking in between, and of course, parents are not so aware. They feel they're brushing well, you know, and a child is not so equipped manually to wash his or her teeth.
Proprietor of Peace Foundation International College, Abeokuta, Alhaji Moshood Ola Yusuf, and students testified that it was a worthwhile session.
What we are doing today is another aspect of education. You need to have good health. I learned how to speak out whenever you see anyone that wants to abuse.
I learned how I can clean my teeth. Like I wash it. It was not painful. It was not painful at all. So I thanked them.
Gifts ranging from food items, educational materials, toiletries, among others, were distributed to the students. Margaret Okunola, OGTV News.
Procurement officers in Ogun State Civil Service have been admonished to continue to push for excellence in service, support the government in actualizing its policies, and curtail wastages as well as block leakages while discharging their statutory duties. The head of service, Mr. Kolaole Fagbo, gave the admonition when he received in audience the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria, led by its national president, Alhaji Sikru Balogun, in his office. According to him, the ultimate goal is not just to have a cadre, but to discharge creditably the duties and responsibilities attached in order for such to be sustained advising that the officers should continue to add value so that there can be justification for its establishment.
It's not just I want a kidder, it's not just to have a kidder, but the members of that kidder, you must be able to discharge creditably the duties attached, the responsibility attached to that office, to that kidder. Because if they don't do that, they close door, it's going behind. They must add value. I keep on saying that kidders are not created to further professional interests. Rather, they are created to serve the people.
The president, CIPSMN, Alhaji Sikiru Balugo, said the national body was in the state to felicitate the head of service on his appointment, laud the state government for what it's doing in the Bureau of Public Procurement via its Director General, Dr. Additional Lanloye, and to solicit more support for the cadre and the Bureau in the state, as it is a cadre meant for trained and knowledgeable personnel. Adding his voice, the North Central Coordinator of the Institute, Alhaji Abdul Maman, commended the Ogun State government for understanding the principle of procurement as it has come to stay in the state and asked for it to be well funded as the gatekeepers of the state so that officers will not compromise standards and value. Effective training and sensitization are the necessary prerequisite for preventing fire outbreaks and disasters. Therefore, there is need to promote the education of individuals on what needs to be done. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Dr. Rotimi Akelesi, made this known during a training on preventing and combating fire disasters organized for members of staff of the ministry at Okimoso, Abeokuta. Matthew Shomi completes the report.
The destructive nature of fire has made the knowledge of preventing and combating fire outbreaks and disasters a necessary tool in the workplace. This is why the training has been put together through the initiative of the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Rotimi Akelesi, for members of staff of the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in Ogun State. Dr. Akelesi said the key strategy to maintaining workplace safety and prevent fire is to provide training for members of staff and expressed his belief in the enhancement of the capacity of trainees to respond efficiently in times of disaster.
Let me appreciate His Excellency, the Governor of Ogun State, for the effort he has put into the fire service of Ogun State. Of course, you know, he built a number of fire stations and provided fire truck. Whatever training you get here, you can use it anywhere you are posted to. It doesn't have to be at Chieftaincy, Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs Ministry alone. So this is why we have done this. And basically, I'm sure anybody can face fire. You might just try to, but can you do it efficiently?
The guest trainer, Engineer Fatai Adefala, revealed that lack of proper training in the prevention and handling of fire outbreaks has resulted in loss of lives and property.
We told them the category of fire extinguishers. We have dry chemical powder, we have CO2, that is carbon dioxide, we have the water types and the various types. What can we use to extinguish Class A, which is free burning, Class B, which is flammable, on now that people are not converting the LPG carburetor for their domestic use. We tell them that their LPG, their cylinders must be far away from their exhaust.
The members of staff were then taken through the training with the demonstration of different ways to prevent fire outbreaks and manage it, which was followed by a question and answer session. There was also a practical session where the simulation of fire outbreaks and management of it was done. Matthew Shomi, OGTV News.
The federal government has received a $9.26 million grant from the Canadian government to scale up COVID-19 vaccine service delivery among high priority risk groups and strengthen health systems in the country. The grant will enable the World Health Organization WHO Nigeria to provide technical support to strengthen health systems, increase COVID-19 vaccine demand generation and uptake in an integrated mode with routine immunization and other primary health care service. The states where the grant will be implemented include Benue, Kogi, Taraba, Kebbi, Katsina, Anambra, Ebonyi, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Edo, Rivers, Lagos, Ogun, and Ondo. Speaking during the launch of Canada's Global Initiative for Vaccine Equity Grant in Abuja, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, said the COVID-19 vaccination program was launched in Nigeria on March 5, 2021, and appreciated the support of the federal and state governments and other partners towards strengthening COVID-19 vaccine delivery system in the country. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and his national commissioners on Wednesday met with members of the various transport unions which the commission had engaged during the 2023 general elections. The meeting, which had as its main objective the review of the conduct of the 2023 general elections, was also attended by electoral officers. According to the commission, a review of the conduct of the engaged transport unions vis-à-vis the implementation of the MOU signed with unions on the provisions of logistics is sacrosanct. Also, the meeting took stock of how the electoral officers who served as field supervisors carried out their assignments. Secretary to the Ogun State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, has described the life and times of engineer Adiolu Oyenusi, an alumnus of CMS Grammar School, Bariga, Lagos, as a mix of simplicity and selflessness. Talabi disclosed this during the final burial service of the deceased held at All Saints Anglican Church, Yaba, Lagos, adding that he would be remembered for his good deeds among colleagues, family members, the church, and humanity at large, while urging the family to take solace in the fact that he lived a remarkable and impactful life. Talabi also noted that he would be remembered for his philanthropic and good deeds, noting that the children he left behind are his legacies.
How far we have come for all these years, and how well we have come as friends and brothers and colleagues from CMS Grammar School. So it's just to say farewell and to thank everybody for standing by the family at this time. All the family members, the Lord will grant you the fortitude to bear this loss. I know the practice of CMS Grammar School. The support is there, and for our classmates, it's also a time of sober reflection, a time when, and time is nigh for all of us.
Seven Venerable Samuel Adru Fagbaji disclosed the late Oyenusi as a confidant to many around him, encouraging the congregation to live a good life. After the break, we'll be talking some business stocks now on the business segment of the news with Dominic Abeha.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The federal government, through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, is set to issue an order against moves by point-of-sales agents to hike transaction charges across the country. The Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Babatunde Irukera confirmed this while speaking to newsmen. According to him, the order would be issued in a couple of hours. He noted that following its first advisory to the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, which was ignored, it is now ready for more definite enforcement. Earlier in July, the FCCPC announced that it was investigating price fixing attempts by point of sales agents and will sanction them if they are found guilty. It asked Amban to desist from attempts to fix POS prices. Meanwhile, the federal government, through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, will begin to roll out sanctions against members of trade associations guilty of anti-competitive practices, indiscriminate and irrational hike of food prices. Chief Executive Officer of the FCCPC, Babatunde Rukera, said this during the forum organized by the Commission to discuss fair food prices. The forum was titled Fair Food Prices in Nigeria, a high-level forum for better competition. According to Rukera, some trade unions have constituted cartels to engage in anti-competitive practices that have led to price gouging of basic food items. He noted that taking a hard line against indiscriminate food price hikes had become imperative in light of the President's declaration of food security as a national emergency recently. The House of Representatives is set to commence investigations into non-remittance of revenues to the Federation account by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. This followed the adoption of a motion need to investigate the non-remittance of due taxes by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited into the Federation account, moved by Uduak Odudo during plenary. Moving the motion, Odudo, a member of the People's Democratic Party representing Ikot Abasi, Eastern Obolo Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State, noted that Section 162, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, provides for the Federation account, which receives revenues collected by the government of the Federation, except such that are exempted therein. He also noted that the said Federation account belonged to the entire Federation, with the federal government tasked with keeping same in trust for the 3 tiers of government. And finally, on the business segment of the news, Nigeria's non-recorded figure was a slight decrease as against $2.59 billion in the corresponding period of 2022. The NAPC boss, who maintained that the agency would achieve $5 billion non-oil export target, blamed transition to a new government and changes in global market conditions as reasons for the slight dip. That's the business segment of the news. Many thanks for watching. The rest of the news continues with Wally. Do not go anywhere.